Good afternoon, class. Let's talk about scale and the scale ruler. Most of you probably have something that looks like this. It is made of plastic and its cross section looks like a bit of a triangle. They come in different shapes and sizes. Some are a little more fancy than others. This is made of aluminum with laser etching. But today, let's go ahead and use our tried and true plastic guy. A couple other objects you're going to need for this particular handout. The handout itself, right? So print this out and make sure you have all pages required, which is going to be this top sheet, which is the basic run through of how to use the scale rule, which I will also go over in this video for you. Then you will have a second page, third page, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then there's one final seventh page. So one other tool, probably the most important of all, after the scale rule, a pencil. That's it. A little less object to art than most of our other videos, but let's begin. So the two scales that we've been working with the most in class have been 1/4 inch, and we've talked a little bit about the 1/2 inch scale. The difference between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch, your model box that you've done for me already is 1/4 inch, and we kind of understand what that level of size and proportion looks like. This is what happens when you move into a 1/2 inch scale. Right? So the lady is in 1/2 inch scale. She is still 6 feet tall in a 1/2 inch scale, whereas our little businessman down here by the fireplace is also 6 feet tall, but we've rendered this model in a 1/4 inch scale. So let's look at the difference between both of those scales. On your scale rule, you will find a myriad of scales, and they're both coming in from either end, right? So here on the top side, we have a standard 1 inch true scale, right? So this is the same thing that we'd find on our corkback ruler. Or the same standard inches that we would use on a tape measure, right? So just 1-to-1, 1/4 inch is a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch is a 1/2 inch. Now, if you want to find the proper scale to use for this handout, please note that next to each one of these lines, let's get a little closer here, you can see I've given you the scale to work with. This whole first page is 1/2 inch. The whole second page, 1/4 inch. And then it will vary from there. It'll be 1/2 inch, then 1/4 inch. And then the final page you'll work with is going to be 1/2 inch. So let's look where to find that, all right? On your scale rule, at the end of each section, you'll find your scale notation. So here's your 1/2 inch. And if you look to the other end of the ruler, look here, find your 1/4 inch, okay? Now, the way this scale works is, I'm going to flip the 1/2 inch because that's the first thing we're going to be working on first. You can see here, try to get that in focus a little better, right about, how's that? That works pretty good. So here you have your 1/2 inch marking. And so it's going to be a little strange. We have to work backwards, right? So we have to go, our first marking to indicate 0 is this guy right here. And then you might be saying, but Matt, 1 is what comes after 0. Why is this a 10? Well, class, because on the other end of this scale, we've got 1 inch equals 1 foot scale. Its starting point is this 0. So if we count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So these lower letters on this scale are noting the 1 inch equals 1 foot scale on the far side. We are concerned about this little 0 here. And so then let's do a little counting exercise. What comes after 0, everyone? 1. That's right, you're all doing a great job. So 1, even though it says 10, 2, 3, 4. So as we're measuring, you will find that what's the better way to say this? In increments of 2, you'll come back to the true number, right? So let's just begin on this first. We'll do a couple of these together so you get a couple free answers from me. And then we'll move on from there, okay? Here we go. We are looking at half-inch scale. So the way we're going to do this is once we found our half-inch scale on the scale rule, your starting point is always going to be 0. I'm going to go ahead and lay this upside down so we can kind of all get a good look at it here. First question, how long is this line? So I'm going to start at 0, the very base of that line. Hope you can all kind of see this right here is my 0 mark and my line base. Other end of this line ends right here at 10. But if you are confused about how and where that 10 comes, then just go ahead and just count a little bit. So we're going to go next tick mark 1, 2, next tick mark 3, next tick mark 4, which is given to us, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know that in half-inch scale now, this line's measurement is 10 feet, 0 inches. So the way we write that, we talked about this at the very, very top of the semester, but it's been a trying couple months, so let's look at it again. At the end of this line, you write 10 feet, which is 1 tick mark, dash 0 inches, which is 2. Okay? Keeping with the same scale, half-inch scale, let's do the next line down. Always starting at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we end at 5. I know it says 8, but we've been counting since preschool. So remember, what comes after 4? 5. Okay. 5 feet, 1 tick, right? Dash 0 inches. Let's do another one, see what we get here. I'm going to skip that one, skip this one. Let's go down to the next one and see what happens. Uh-oh. Can you all see that? It's less than 1 foot. So how do we measure that? You now have to start at -0. So put your 0 on the far side of that line. And now this section here, right behind the 0, let's get it here, let me find it. Come on, camera. Almost there. You see that section? A little hard to see. With all the tick marks. So, what this means for us is that starting at 0, this section, all the way working back here, is also a foot. But within this foot increment, as opposed to 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, they've given us the tick marks for inches. So what's half of 1 foot? That would be 6 inches. So this section right here, that's 6 inches. What's half of 6 inches? 3, you say. You are correct. So that being said, now we know that breaking up this bit of feet here, that you've got 0, 3, 3 and 3 is 6, another 3 is 9, and then 3 and 9, that makes 1 whole foot. So let's go back to that tiny line that we just discovered. Went to go measure it, and we couldn't. So then that 0 gets moved to the far side, and it looks to me now, this line is 6 inches. The way we measure that, or write that rather, is because we don't have feet, we're going to give it a 0, tick mark for feet, dash 6 inches. Let's carry on down the page a little bit and see if we can't find another anomaly. Oh, there's one. So now we've got kind of a different kind of problem, but same solving measures, okay? This line here, mid-page, if we're starting at 0 at the front, it kind of lands in between, right? So let's count how long it is to as far as we can go first. So we're going to do 1. There's our buddy 2 to bring us back to normal. 3, 4, and now it stops in between 4 and what would be 5. So the way we look at this then, we keep 4 in our mind. Then we're going to go ahead and move that 4 to the end of our line, just like this. So now if you look, we've given ourselves our inches back at the front end here. So what that means for us now is if we find moving from 4 here to 4 at the end of the line, that line is an extra 6 inches past 4. So that means this line is 4 feet 6 inches. And that's how that methodology works. Let's look at the next page, which is 1/4 inch scale. Same thing, same amount of lines, just a different side of your ruler. So instead of using your 1/2 inch on this page, we are going to use our 1/4 inch right there. It's the same concept, just a little tinier, right? So 1/4 inch scale, just like 1/2 inch scale, in the same way that each 1/4 inch that we measure out here in scale equals 1 foot. Just like in our model, that gentleman there is 6 feet tall, and the room with which we've built is meant to fit his size. Whereas our lovely lady is not built to fit into this room because she is in 1/2 inch scale, right? So let's go back and visit the scale rule again. 1/4 inch, find it. There it is. So now in the same vein, let's go ahead and take a look at, let's do this line here. Counting the tick marks, beginning at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Note that I am counting the tick marks. You can see that the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8, the 9, and the 10, all of these numerals are in the same plane as its 0 starting mark. So those are the numbers you're looking to keep an eye on. So here we are at 10, 11 has nothing, 12, 13, 14, 15, nothing, and here we are, we end at 16. So that means this line for us is 16 feet, 0 inches. Let's do another 1/4 inch and see if we can't find another stranger. Yes, look at this here. So if we're looking at 1/4 inch scale, which we always are in this moment in time, 0, 1. Oh, we don't quite go to 2, so let's go ahead and put that 1 right at the end of the line here, and we can see that that line extends past 1 foot by, it's tiny and hard to see, but half of 1 foot is 6 inches, right? So here we are, 0 to 1, and half of 1 foot is 6 inches. So you've got 1 foot 6 inches. Carry on with this exercise all the way down. You will find as you flip through the handout, there's a couple extra shapes here, right? So you've got a couple rectangles. Oh, it's a different lady, but she's still 6 feet tall, maybe. So let's find out. It's the same concept as the lines. It's just a bit more interesting because we're looking at shapes, okay? So always make sure that you know what scale you're meant to be working in, right? So up here, note the scale on the handout. This is a 1/2 inch page. So let's find 1/2 inch on our ruler, which is going to be right there. And we just have to work upside down for a little bit, okay? Shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and look at this top square here. Same idea. Put your 0 on the end of the line with which you want to measure, which is from this dimension mark to this dimension mark. So you can see here, 1/2 inch scale, 0, start there, 1, 2. So this rectangle is 2 feet, 0 inches wide. Just write in that box there. If you have a hard time writing small, go ahead and write underneath of it just so we get the right idea, right? Let's go ahead and measure the length of this box. I'm going to start at the bottom with 0 here. 0, 1, 2, 3, and at the very end here, we find 4. So 4 feet, 0 inches, okay? Moving on. Same concept, little different picture, okay? 1/4 inch, right? Make sure we know that's what we're looking for. Let's find 1/4 inch on our scale rule. There it is, right on the end. Let's look at the circle, figure out how wide that is. Zero, right at where our arrow meets the edge of the circle there. 1, 2, 3 is nothing. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and there we find 12. So the circle then for us is 12 feet, 0 inches. I am going to make a separate video for the final page of your handout, which is, I'm asking you to do a little bit of drawing and sketching. It shouldn't be too terrible. We'll go through it together. But if you have any questions, you always know where to reach me. And I'll see you in the next installment.